What's up, guys? We got a little bit different of a video for you today. We're going through and picking our entire bracket for the NCAA tournament. Don't worry, tomorrow we'll be back with the regularly scheduled NCAA basketball picks. Things went great for us on championship or selection Sunday. We went 4-1 overall. Very solid day. Smash that thumbs up button if you made some money on those picks or if you just like seeing these videos in general. If you want to see our picks every day, subscribe to the channel. It's pretty crazy. Almost 80% of viewers are not subscribed. It's 100% free and it can keep you from missing out on our daily picks. These videos are sponsored by StunTheSpread.com. Click the link in the description and go over there to join our free email list and check out our top confidence plays on all the major sports. Also down in the description will be a link to our NCAA tournament group on ESPN.com. Get in there, put in your picks, see if your bracket can beat ours. Anybody's bracket can win in a bracket competition, as I'm sure all of you know. Comment below with any of your picks, what teams you think are going to make it through in the tournament, what teams you think could score big upsets in the first, second, or any round. I read and respond to every single comment, and we love to see what you guys are thinking out there. Now let's dive into this bracket and make some predictions. Let's get rolling with these picks. First, we're looking at UConn going against Stetson. I'm not a big enough genius to pick #1 seeds to lose, so we're going to be easily taking UConn in this one. They've been absolutely dominant. Nothing wrong with Stetson this season. They've had a good year, but they're not going to be able to hold up against UConn. So we're moving the Huskies right along there. Next up, we've got FAU taking on Northwestern. This is a pretty interesting game. It's basically a pick'em game, so anybody's guess is good on this one. Over the last 5, Northwestern has only gone 2-3. FAU had a stunning 1-point loss against Temple. FAU has been playing all season long like they are going to do well in the NCAA tournament. Like, this is what they really care about. FAU lost in something of a heartbreaker to Temple, so that was a tough loss for them. Northwestern is a very solid team. I think they'll have the best player on the court in this one. They've been used to playing some tough opponents. They've been slightly more consistent this year. This is pretty much a tough one, guys. I don't think you can go wrong with either team here. I'm personally am going to go ahead and take FAU. I think they find a way to get the job done after having a huge letdown performance in their conference tournament. Next, you're looking at San Diego State going against UAB. San Diego State comes in this one fresh off a loss. UAB is an absolutely crazy team. They've been up and down all over the place this year. They're plus 7.5 in this game. San Diego State is a very solid team, but I don't know if I really trust them. UAB, I don't know, man. This is a crazy one. We're going to go with the upset here. We're taking UAB to survive and advance somehow. I know they're a big underdog, but you got to have some crazy ones in here, and this is going to be my first crazy one of the slate. Next up, we're looking at Auburn going against Yale. Yale barely was able to edge out Brown. I don't think we're looking at an upset from this one. Sometimes the Ivy League teams really can pull some stuff off, but give me Auburn. They're a 4 seed. They're a very solid team. They're going to survive and advance. Next up, we're looking at BYU against Duquesne. BYU has been a weird team all season long. They've been great at home, but bad on the road. They kind of stumbled at the finish line here. Their last time out, they got blown out by Texas Tech. That's not a great look. Duquesne came into this one playing super, super well. They've been on fire down the stretch. I do think there's going to be a little bit of a letdown here. They're probably a team that's just more happy to have made it into the big dance in general. We're going to stick with the big conference school in this one. Give me BYU to find a way. But with Duquesne getting 7.5 points, that might be something we need to look at. Next up, we're going to look at Illinois going against Morehead State. Illinois has been absolutely amazing this year. They finished things off strong. Give me Illinois in this one. I don't think Morehead State's going to be able to find an upset going against such a solid opponent. Looking at Washington State going against Drake, this is a very interesting one. It's basically a pick'em game. Washington State has been an absolute powerhouse this season on offense. They did pretty well in the Pac-12. They lost to Colorado in kind of a rock fight to end the season, which was pretty weird. Drake comes into this one. They won the Missouri Valley Conference tournament by 4 points over Indiana State. I don't know, guys. I don't really think this Drake team is too good. We're going to take the high-flying Pac-12 school to get the job done in this one. I know they struggled down the stretch a little bit, but they've got a big upset win over Arizona. I think they find a way against Drake, a team that just doesn't impress me that much. Iowa State is definitely going to take down South Dakota State. Iowa State is a crazy good defensive team. They've got what it takes to go pretty far in this tournament. Let's see what they actually end up doing here. They're definitely going to win here in the first round. Now we're going to look at the Southern Conference over here with Houston going against Longwood. Houston might be the best team in the entire tournament. They're definitely not going to fall apart against the 16 seeds. We don't have to worry too much about that. Next up, we've got Nebraska going against Texas A&M. Nebraska has been a very fun story all season long. They've way overachieved compared to what people would have thought they were going to do, but are they going to be able to pull it off against Texas A&M? The Aggies made a deep run in their conference tournament. Nebraska is an interesting team, don't get me wrong. I don't really think they have what it takes, though, to win in this matchup. It's going to be tough, though. I want Nebraska to win, but my brain is telling me Texas A&M. I think we're going to go with our heart, though. We're going to go with our heart and take Nebraska instead of Texas A&M in this one. These 8-9 games, man, these are pretty much a toss-up, so pretty much your guess in these brackets is as good as mine, so we're going to go in this one with Nebraska. That's where our heart's at. Next up, we've got Wisconsin taking on James Madison. Wisconsin made it to their conference tournament championship game. They've been playing some of their best ball of the season down the stretch. James Madison looked great in the Sun Belt tournament. They have absolutely owned everyone down the stretch here. They've won a ton of games in a row. They're red hot, but this is going to be the best team they've faced all season long. They haven't had any great step-up games. They did beat Michigan State very early in the regular season, so that's pretty impressive. Do they have what it takes to get the win against Wisconsin, though? The odds makers definitely think there's a chance. James Madison is only plus 5.5. We're going to go with the Dukes. We're going with another upset here. I think this will be an easy upset for us to pick because we won't have to worry too much if Wisconsin wins. I don't really think they have what it takes to make a deep run, so give me James Madison in this one. Next up, we've got Duke going against Vermont. I might be wearing a Duke hat right now, but man, they are not really one of my favorite teams, and they're not one of my favorite groups this season. They've been wildly inconsistent. They are 11.5-point favorites in this game. Vermont, the Catamounts have not been amazing. The American East isn't really a conference that has impressed me that much. Give me Duke in this one to survive and advance. I don't know if they'll win and cover and all that stuff, but I definitely think they find a way to win this game and move on. Next, we're going to look at Texas Tech going up against NC State. NC State had a magical conference tournament run. Texas Tech comes into this game fresh off a blowout loss against Houston. Is the NC State Wolfpack really this good? Like, are they a team we need to be giving consideration to in terms of making a deep run? I don't know, guys. It's pretty tough. I would say that Texas Tech has played in the tougher conference, but NC State has just been playing so well down the stretch. This one is pretty much a toss-up for me. I think we're going to go with Texas Tech. I think NC State might be a little bit worn out after that crazy run, and they might have just, be happy to make the tournament. So give me Texas Tech in this one, but your guess is as good as mine. Next up, we've got Kentucky going against Oakland. This could be an upset watch situation. Kentucky is great at having fall apart, full-on collapse situations. Oakland's getting 13.5 points in this one, so the odds makers do not think there's any chance of that happening. Obviously, there should be a massive talent gap in this game. Give me Kentucky. I think they take care of business here in the first round, but I think Oakland might have a shot at making things interesting. Now we're looking at Florida going against either Boise State or Colorado. This is a tough one to pick because I think if Colorado wins against Boise State, there could be some upset potential. I do not, on the other hand, think that Boise State has much of a shot against Florida. Either way, I think we have to go ahead and take the Florida Gators in this one. They've been amazing all season long pretty much. They've come on strong here at the end of the year. Give me Florida. I think they advance, but I don't think it's going to matter that much because next up we got Marquette going against Kentucky. We're definitely taking Marquette in this one. They're supposedly going to be healthy here heading into the NCAA tournament, so as long as they've got everybody on the floor, I think they're going to be poised for a solid run. Moving on down to the Midwestern part of the bracket, looking at Purdue. They're obviously going to beat their opening round opponent. They did come up short in their conference tournament, so it's going to be interesting to see how they bounce back here. Now we've got a very interesting matchup. We've got Utah State going against TCU. I think I'm going to go ahead and take TCU in this one. I think they have all the offense they need to keep up with Utah State, and they're good enough on offense that Utah State's ability to light up the scoreboard doesn't scare me off. Next, we're looking at Gonzaga going against McNeese. If you'd have asked me about this game a few weeks ago, I would have definitely thought that Gonzaga would be on major upset alert, but the Zags has been playing much better lately here to close out the season. The odds makers do think this could be a fairly close game. Gonzaga is only a 5.5-point favorite. The Bulldogs did lose to St. Mary's in the conference tournament. McNeese didn't have any trouble in their conference tournament. They were absolutely blowing out everyone in a fairly interesting conference. I don't think the Southland's been getting too much love here this season, but they've had some decent teams. They've had some upset wins and some success in some step-up games. McNeese did beat VCU earlier in the season. They beat UAB. This team is very good. They can really score the ball, so they should have all the pieces to keep up with Gonzaga. We're going to take the big upset here. We're taking the Southland team to survive and advance. McNeese gets the win straight up against Gonzaga. Next, we're looking at Kansas against Samford. I don't think we're picking another upset here in this one, guys. Kansas took that time off to rest and get healthy after kind of giving up a little bit in their conference tournament. They knew they weren't going to win the tournament. They knew they needed time to get their players healthy. I think that was a veteran move by their coach. We're going to take Kansas, assuming they're healthy, to get the win in this one, and they could potentially make a run in this tournament. Next, we're looking at South Carolina going up against Oregon. South Carolina comes into this game fresh off getting destroyed by Auburn. Oregon ended up winning their conference tournament somehow. Did not see that one coming. They found a way against Colorado, though. The Oregon Ducks are not a team that's really impressed me over the course of the season. We see South Carolina in a huge bounce back spot after that tough loss. They're going to want to get some revenge, and I think they're not going to have too hard of a time getting that revenge against Oregon. Give me South Carolina to advance. Now we're looking at Creighton against Akron. Akron's a solid team, but Creighton is on a whole nother level. I think we see a solid run from Creighton. They did lose to Providence in their conference tournament, and they haven't looked amazing down the stretch, but they've been really good against the good teams, and I think Akron is a good enough team to give them a little bit of a push, and we'll see Creighton respond and get the win. Now we're looking at Texas going against UVA or Colorado State. I think UVA is absolutely terrible. Probably Colorado State will win that game, and then they might have a chance against Texas, but Texas is a very solid squad. This is actually a kind of safe spot. I think none of these three teams really have what it takes to advance very far in this tournament, so we're going to take Texas to win here. And then in the last one, St. Peter's, one of the Cinderellas of the conference tournament schedule. Don't think that run continues. Tennessee will definitely find a way. They're a great team. They're coming off a disappointing performance. They're going to get the win in this one. Going back up, looking at our next round, the second round, we've got UConn going against FAU. Definitely give me UConn in this one. They are a dominant team. They're going to be a force in this tournament. FAU, I don't even really trust to win in the first round, so I don't think they have what it takes to pull off this upset. Looking at UAB against Auburn. Auburn is a monster. UAB wants to be basically what Auburn is, but they're just not quite as good. Give me Auburn to get the win in that one. Now we're looking at BYU going against Illinois. Illinois, amazing team. They're definitely going to win in that matchup or any second round matchup that they could have. Then we've got Iowa State going against Washington State. Iowa State is a machine. They are not going to have any trouble in that matchup. Iowa State definitely should advance. We're backtracking a little bit to look at the Western Conference first round. We got North Carolina winning. We're going to take Mississippi State to lose to Michigan State. I think Michigan State finds a way, but neither one of those teams really impressed me too much. St. Mary's against Grand Canyon. I think St. Mary's is a very solid team. They've got a great chance to advance. Alabama could potentially lay an egg against Charleston, but I think we're going to go ahead and take Alabama anyway. They should have too much offense, so that should be okay for them. Clemson against New Mexico. I don't trust Clemson at all. I think the ACC teams are generally way overvalued. Give me New Mexico. Baylor against Colgate. Baylor is an absolute monster. They're not going to have any trouble against this 14 seed. Give me Baylor to survive and advance. Dayton against Nevada. Dayton is not a team that impresses me at all. The Wolfpack is very solid. Nevada's been a good team. The Mountain West has been a crazy conference all season long. Give me Nevada to advance in this one. Then we've got Arizona going against Long Beach State. Definitely give me Arizona. They're not a team that I trust a lot, but they are also not a team that's going to lose in the first round. They just have too much talent. Now we're going to go back up here to the south. We've got Houston going against Nebraska. Houston's not going to have any trouble in that one, no matter who they face. We got Duke against James Madison. Picking Duke to advance this far in the tournament is very scary for me, but I guess I'm going to go ahead and take them. They're going to have no shot against Houston, though. We got Kentucky against Texas Tech. I don't even really trust Texas Tech to get out of the first round. I don't really trust Kentucky to get out of the first round that much either. Give me Kentucky in this one, I guess, but it's not one that I feel great about. Then we've got Marquette going against Florida. I do think Florida could potentially lose to Colorado, probably not to Boise State in the first round. So give me Marquette. We're hoping that they're going to be fully healthy for this one. If they are, they're a very good team. Can they make it past Florida, though? That kind of seems like a stretch to me. Still, give me Marquette. I think they can find a way, but things are starting to get a little bit sketchy, like they do with every single bracket. On down to the Midwest, we've got Purdue going against TCU. I do think there is some upset potential here, but I think Purdue finds a way to advance past this one. Then we've got McNeese against Kansas. McNeese could be a crazy team that makes a run here. I kind of want to take them to beat Kansas, but if Kansas is fully healthy, I do think they find a way. This whole part of the bracket is getting very sketchy to me. I don't really know how I feel about any of this. I know I'm taking way too many good teams, way too many of the highly rated teams, but hey, that's what's going to happen. We're going to take McNeese. They're going to be our tournament darling. We're going to see them moving on in this one. I sure hope. Creighton, I think, should be absolutely fine in this matchup against South Carolina. Then we're looking at Tennessee going against Texas. Definitely give me Tennessee in this one. They're going to be one of the best teams in the tournament. They're a very consistent squad. I don't think they're going to have any trouble in that matchup. Then we've got Nevada going against Arizona. This is a super interesting game to me. Arizona definitely has the size, the athleticism. They're built for the tournament. They should be fine, but man, this team's been inconsistent. Give me Arizona, I guess, but that could be a scary one. Then we've got Baylor going against New Mexico. I think Baylor finds a way in this one. The Lobos are a very tough team. I kind of want to pick them to make a run also, but I don't want to get too many upsets in here. Give me Baylor. I think they find a way, but it could be a very interesting game. Then we've got Alabama against St. Mary's. I don't really love either one of these teams. I think Alabama could potentially lose in the first round. I don't think St. Mary's could lose in the first round, though. So go ahead and give me St. Mary's. Maybe they find a way here, but this is also, things are starting to get to where you can easily see them falling apart. North Carolina should dominate Michigan State, although Michigan State is a team that should be very used to playing in the postseason. But give me North Carolina. I think they have a little bit too much talent for this matchup. Moving up here, we've got UConn going against Auburn. I just think UConn's way too good. Auburn's a good team, but they're not going to be able to stand up against a UConn squad that might be destined to win this whole thing. Then we've got Illinois going against Iowa State. This seems very sketchy. I've got the 1, 2, 3, and 4 seeds all moving on here, but give me Iowa State. I think they're by far the better team. Illinois is good, but I don't think Terrence Shannon Jr. is going to be able to carry them against an Iowa State defense that is phenomenal. Give me Iowa State moving on. With Houston against Duke, I think this could be an absolute blowout. If Duke even makes it this far, I think Houston will absolutely shred them. So give me Houston in this one. Marquette against Kentucky. I just cannot pick Kentucky to go this far in the tournament. They're just not a consistent enough team. So I guess give me Marquette, but I could see Florida also coming out of here. So that's going to be a tough one for me. We'll see if this actually works out. Moving down to the Midwest, we got Purdue against McNeese. I guess give me Purdue. We're having way too many good teams advance way too far though. In this matchup, Creighton against Tennessee, if this is actually what we see, I think Creighton can make it through. It feels very sketchy though, because I think they could lose to Akron in the first game also, but go ahead and give me Creighton. I think they find a way to make it. At least we've got 1, 3 seed making it through like this. Then we've got North Carolina at St. Mary's. North Carolina is just way too good. Give me North Carolina. Then we were looking at Baylor against Arizona. I think Baylor finds a way to knock off Arizona. I don't think Arizona is consistent enough. I could see them losing at pretty much any point in this tournament. So go ahead and give me Baylor. Now we got to figure out our final 4 teams. Do we think UConn or Iowa State will come out on top of this one? I think give me UConn. I think they're just the better team. I think they're the best team in this bracket. I don't see this team losing. They could probably end up winning it all. I think there's a very real chance of that happening. Houston's not going to have any trouble with Marquette. I think Houston comes out of this bracket very easily. I think these 2 number 1 seeds are basically locks to make it out of their bracket unless something absolutely insane happens. Down here in the West and Midwest, this is where the real anarchy is taking place for me. I think almost any team could come out of here. We've got North Carolina against Baylor. I think Baylor has a tougher route to get there, which obviously makes sense since they're only a 3 seed. I guess give me North Carolina, although I could see them losing to Michigan State, so this is a pretty tough one, but give me North Carolina in this one. And am I really going to pick the Creighton Blue Jays to make it out of here into the Final Four? I guess... I don't know, guys. It's a tough one. Purdue just seems like they should have the better of every single matchup. But if I take Purdue here, then I've got all 4 number 1 seeds making it to the Final Four. There's no way that happens, so do not copy this bracket, guys. This is not what's going to happen in the long run. But in these matchups, I'm very confident about my 2 championship teams. I think we see UConn and we see Houston make it to the championship. This is going to be an absolute battle of the Titans here. These are 2 amazing teams. I think we will see UConn come away as the champion in this season's NCAA tournament. They're the best team out there. I think they're a little bit more consistent than Houston. I can count on their offense a little bit more. Give me UConn to win it all. That's my pick in this one. Have a good one, guys. Thanks for sticking through this whole video. We'll be back with picks on Monday night or Tuesday, very early in the morning, for the NIT or the first round of the NCAA tournament. And we'll have pick videos every single day from then on out. Have a good one. We'll see you next time. Don't forget to hit that thumbs up button, subscribe to the channel if you're new, and head over to stumpthespread.com. And make sure to join our NCAA tournament bracket competition on ESPN.com. The link for that will be down in the description. See you guys tomorrow, where we'll be back to our regularly scheduled programming of NCAA basketball picks.